Let it be understood clearly, and let it be settled for us now. We have been taught to search the skull as if the temple of reality were bone and tissue, and this is a false measuring rod. We have polished the instrument and then bowed to the polish. We have trained the brain to recite, to compute, to compare, to store, and then we have called its echoes truth. But the brain is an instrument of reporting, of sensation, of memory, of reaction. It can take in impressions. It can repeat histories. It can register pain and pleasure. It can produce arguments. And yet, revelation is of another order. Revelation does not arrive by association. It is not the conclusion of a syllogism. It is the appearing of what is, by grace, to the awareness that is not bound to mechanism. Flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, said the Master, but my Father which is in heaven. Do you not see that thought can observe thought? You sit and you notice a fear rise, and immediately there is the noticing of the fear. What is it that notices? You sense a memory, and then you recognize that you are sensing a memory. What is this recognizing presence? If the brain is only the observed mechanism, neurons firing, chemicals bathing tissues, what is that which stands back even a hair's breadth and says, there is thinking happening? Is not the witness other than the witnessed? Is the eye that reads the page made of the same ink as the letters? The brain reports like a newspaper delivered to the doorstep of consciousness. But the light by which you read, and the you that reads whence? I speak to you not to tantalize your intellect with clever questions. I am not interested in a debate, and you must not be either. Truth is not established by argument. It is revealed to the listening heart. The kingdom of God is within you, not within the skull as machinery, not within cortex and cerebellum as authority, but within you as awareness awakened by the Father within. The brain can carry the word from the ear to the memory and back again. It can arrange sentences. It can summon quotations. But the living word, the word that feeds this day's hunger and calms this hour's tempest, is not manufactured in gray matter. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. That word proceeds. It does not get assembled by puzzle pieces of thought. So then, let us be honest with ourselves. How often have we wrestled with ideas about God, about consciousness, about practice, and come away tired, no nearer to peace? Why? Because the instrument tried to reveal what only the source can reveal. The radio can receive a symphony. It does not compose it. And if you smash the radio, you have not destroyed music, you have broken a receiver. Likewise, to deify the skull is to make an idol of a fine instrument and then wonder why prayer sounds like static. Relax. Rest in the assurance that you are not asked to abandon the instrument. You are asked to stop worshiping it. Use it to report rightly, but do not expect it to reveal reality. The promise before us is not a theory to be admired, nor a vocabulary to be paraded. It is an inward demonstration available here and now if we will stop wrestling with words long enough to listen. Be still and know that I am God. Not be busy and infer. Not be brilliant and conclude. Be still and know. If in this hour you will agree to set the brain gently upon its rack, to let it report whatever it reports without authority, and to attend instead to the quietness deeper than thought, you will find the beginning of that knowing which no book can give and no argument can destroy. Peace first, then light, then the word that is for you in this very moment out of the mouth of God. Let it be understood clearly, and let there be no confusion on this point. The moment you accept the skull as your temple and the cortex as your priest, you have stepped into the religion of fear. Why? Because you have accepted two powers. In the material sense of life, there are always two: chemistry versus spirit, neurons versus meaning, illness and medicine, mood and management, stimulus and response. And once you enter that arena, you will be asked to bow first to one altar and then to another, to appease one god and then its rival. And now what next? If the numbers on a paper please you today, you rejoice. If tomorrow they do not, you mourn. If the brain releases the proper cocktail, you call it love. If it withholds, you call it grief. The creature rules. The newspaper of the body publishes a headline, and you accept it as decree. Do you not see how costly this is? When you locate yourself in the head, every label becomes your identity, every diagnosis your destiny, every clever theory your warden. You live adjusting, compensating, arguing one measurement, striving to conquer another measurement, pills to subdue thoughts, thoughts to oppose symptoms, strategies to outwit strategies. In the morning you worship the scan, in the evening you surrender to the mood. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. You cannot worship the report and at the same time rest in the source that reveals. Paul warned against loving the creature more than the creator. I say to you, do not fear anything that has form, not even a thought. The brain and the body will report, as is their office. But the power that is God is not a contender in that ring. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Now, I am not suggesting you despise the instrument or deny the page it prints. No. Render to the instrument that which belongs to instruments. Use, care, attention, as you would give a lamp or a radio, yet refuse it the authority of truth. You are not asked to close the newspaper. You are asked to stop mistaking the ink for the event. You are not asked to shut the radio. You are asked to remember that the music is not inside the box. In spiritual consciousness, there are not two powers. There is just grace. God is. And when God is realized as the one presence and the one power, what becomes of fear? Perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath torment. Fear is the byproduct of divided allegiance. Peace is the fruit of oneness. Hear me. The modern cry, prove it, is too often the cry of two powers. A demand that one set of numbers must vanquish another set, that one laboratory must overthrow another. And now what next? Suppose you gain your proof today. Will not a shinier device appear tomorrow to contradict it? You will march from test to test, like Israel, through the wilderness, measuring manna, saving it for the morrow, and finding it worms. You do not live by yesterday's chart, nor by tomorrow's predictions. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. The word that proceeds is grace, not an argument, not a statistic, not a duel between shadows. Relax. Rest in the assurance that you are not a prisoner of the skull. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Not to the cortex, to you, the awareness that beholds. The brain will faithfully report your present weather. It cannot decree your climate. Let it report, but let God reveal. Accept the lamp for its light, but do not imagine the bulb is the sun. Withdraw from the habit of twonis, good chemistry, bad chemistry, helpful thought, harmful thought, and abide a moment in the single presence. Then you will discover that the tyrannies of form are opinions without scepter, noises without command. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Not as the world by comparison and contest, but by grace, in which there are not two powers. And when that dawns, the skull loses its altar, fear loses its congregation, and you find yourself at home in the kingdom that is within. I speak to you now, not as a philosopher, not as a collector of quotations, but as one who has had to make the demonstration when every human prop was removed. Let it be understood clearly. Problems must needs be, not as punishments, but as the very fires that burn away the crutches we adore. Do you not see that as long as a bank account smiles on you, you are tempted to bow to the creature? As long as the diagnosis is friendly, you are inclined to trust the report as authority. And then, when the prop is pulled, when the ledger turns red, when the body's newspaper prints a screaming headline, then you and I are brought to the honest question, is there another source? From the end of the earth will I cry unto thee. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. I have stood in that place. I had just exactly enough to last a very few days. There was no device left, no friend to coax, no scheme to improve the numbers. I had already reasoned every way reason could reason, and it isn't going to be done by that. At last, thinking ran out of corridors and stood before a shut door. In that moment, I did not construct a new plan. I did not bargain with God. I became still. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Not do something spiritual, stand still. As the noise of my advice to God quieted, there was a presence, not a sentence formed by mind, but a soft certainty that needed no argument. My grace is sufficient for thee. And then, as night follows evening, outer adjustments appeared, an unexpected commission, a debt forgiven, a pathway opened I could not have mapped. But mark this, the peace did not come because the money came. The supply came because the peace had already revealed the source. Another hour, in a sick room, the creature shouted in the language of symptoms. The verdicts of the body's reporters came as solemn as priests. You have only, and they named a number of days. I do not despise their report. I simply refused at the throne. I did not marshal a counterpower against disease. For in spiritual life there are not two powers. I withdrew from the arena. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. In that stillness, something within me, not manufactured, not hypnotized, stood up and said, I shall not die, but live, and declare the works of the Lord. No battle, a beholding. The very air in the room changed, and with it, day by day, the report changed, not by might, not by mind's forcing, but by the Spirit revealing itself as life. So what do I mean by receiver? Not a circus of visions, not voices that flatter the ego with importance. The receiver is the heart at rest in the certainty that intelligence precedes your reasoning and that you may consciously commune with it. Take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in that same hour. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. The brain can shape syllables. The Spirit supplies the word. The mind can propose a route. The presence reveals the way. To receive is not passivity. It is the most vital poise of readiness, ears opened, sword unneeded. There is always a pivot in the hour of need. The pivot is not when the condition changes. The pivot is when you surrender the private agenda and consent to the still point. When you say, Father, into thy hands, the struggle ceases and revelation takes the field without contest because there is no rival. You will find, as I found, that when the human prop fails, reality is no longer an opinion to be defended, but a presence to be known. Then testimony replaces philosophy. Then words become flesh. Then the brain does its honest work, reporting the harmonies the heart has already received. And you rest, not in numbers, not in sensations, but in the rock higher than the brain, where grace is the only government. Let it be understood clearly. There is a world of difference between learning truth and knowing truth. You can read 1,000 pages. You can memorize every passage of scripture, and you can still lie awake at 2 a.m. with a heart that trembles. Have you not had the right thought, the beautifully phrased affirmation, and found it as powerless as a painted door on a brick wall? Have you not, on another day, sat down with no fresh idea at all, and suddenly a hush came, and with it, assurance without a syllable? Do you not see the distinction? Head knowledge reshuffles the cards. Heart knowing sees the hand that holds the deck. Head knowledge reports about God. Heart knowing beholds God. The mind is a marvelous secretary. It can take dictation, catalog truths, compare this teaching with that, and it can assemble a ladder of logic up the side of heaven. And when you get to the top of your ladder, you will still find a closed sky, for the sky does not open by syllogism. Flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. The Master did not compliment Peter's quick wit. He identified the mechanism revelation from the withinness, not deduction from the withoutness. The brain can recite God as love with moving eloquence, but only revelation disarms fear. The brain can construct a plan for supply, but only revelation uncovers the fountain of rivers of living water that flow from within. Consider it this way. You can rearrange the furniture in a dark room again and again and again, and still you will bump your shins. Turn on the light, and the furniture is not changed. But you have changed because you can see. Ideas are furniture. Light is revelation. The entrance of thy words giveth light. Not the multiplication of words, but their entrance, Spirit's own self-disclosure in the quiet heart. The intellect collects lanterns. The Father within strikes the flame. Until that flame is struck, we are forever polishing, repositioning, debating, improving, and tiring ourselves with a hopeless task. And it isn't going to be done that way. Have you noticed that you can think accurately about forgiveness and still resent? You can outline compassion as a principle and still be impatient at the first offense. Why? Because intellect deals with descriptions. Grace deals with being. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts. The covenant is not engraved upon the skull. It is written in the heart. When the law is written there, forgiveness is no longer a policy. It is a naturalness. Peace is no longer a tactic. It is your atmosphere. The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, does not arrive by a superior argument, but by an appearing unmanufactured, unforced. So then, let us stop straining to lift ourselves by our own mental bootstraps. Take no thought for your life. Which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Do you not see that the very instruction is the method? The receiver does not strain, it yields. It does not argue, it listens. It does not marshal truth as a weapon against error. It withdraws from the battle and beholds that there are not two powers. When the mind rests from its campaign to fix, improve, and manage, there is space for the still small voice. And in that stillness, my sheep hear my voice, not because they have perfected thinking, but because they have consented to be led. Let your study be faithful, but let your study lead to silence. Read, yes, listen more. Affirm. If it points you beyond affirmation to the presence that needs none, you are not asked to abandon the mind's tool. You are asked to stop crowning it king. Bring your well-learned truths to the altar and lay them down. Be still a moment and notice, have you not, even now, a measure of quiet without one new thought being added? That is the door. Rest in it. Relax the will. Yield the reins. Be still and know that I am God. In a few moments, we shall not try to think our way into God. We shall let God announce himself in his own way, his own word, his own time. And when he does, the head will have honest work again to report what the heart has already received. Peace first, then guidance, then the natural harmony that needs no human strain. Let it be understood clearly, and let it be settled in you. Do not fear anything that has form, not even a thought. Paul warned of those who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator. This is our language here. The creature is form. The Creator is the living source. Your brain is a creature useful, capable, reporting, but never power. Your body is a creature wondrously made, yet never authority. Your thought is a creature passing weather across the sky of awareness, never the sky itself. Do you not see? When you mistake form for power, you bow at the wrong altar, and fear becomes your liturgy. We have all been guilty of a hidden worship. We consult the body as if it were an oracle. We check the pulse as a judge checks a verdict. We wait for the brain to announce, today you are safe, or today you are doomed, and we tremble accordingly. And now what next? If the numbers please us, we glow. If the sensations scowl, we mourn. This is bondage to the creature. This is life lived by headlines. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. You cannot give the report the throne and at the same time rest in the presence that reveals. In the spiritual consciousness of life, there are not two powers. God is. The creature isn't power. The creature is instrument. Do not misunderstand me. We do not despise the instrument. We do not slam the door on the report. If pain signals, let it report. If fatigue whispers, let it speak. If panic surges through the nerves like a storm through the trees, let the leaves tremble. Resist not evil. That is scripture, and it is method. To resist the report is to fight shadows. To worship the report is to enthrone shadows. We do neither. We acknowledge the creature's function and deny it authority to define being. In him we live and move and have our being, not in the verdict of the flesh, not in the decree of the skull, in him. Here is the practical turn. A sensation arises, pain, pressure, a racing heart. First, be honest. Let the body say what a body says. The brain will translate it to thought. Let it translate, then withdraw the crown. Say within yourself, without drama, this is a report. It is not a law. It is not my life. Now be still, and know that I am God. Not be frantic and fixed. Be still and know. In that stillness, you will often find that the very fear wrapped around the sensation begins to loosen, for fear was fed by your belief that the creature had a scepter. Perfect love casteth out fear, because fear hath torment. Love, not as an emotion you manufacture, but as the presence realized, dissolves the torment by removing the pretense of a rival power. Relax. Rest in the assurance that life precedes its instruments as music precedes the radio. You are not asked to perform heroics upon the body, nor to hypnotize the mind into pink thoughts. You are asked to remember the order: creator, then creature; source, then form; grace, then report. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. That word proceeds now, not as a human sentence, but as a felt peace. Peace first, then, and only then, guidance arises. Perhaps a nap, perhaps a phone call, perhaps a walk, perhaps a consultation. But mark this: guidance comes from the source, not from panic's whip, and it bears the fragrance of quiet authority. Do you not know that thoughts, too, are only forms? A dark memory appears. A criticism forms. A worry sketches tomorrow's failure. Let them report. Let the wind move the grasses. The field is not endangered by the breeze. Hold to identity in the Creator. Call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. You are not the child of chemistry. You are the offspring of spirit. To accept this is not to boast. It is to bow. It is to let the brain return to its honest office reporter, not ruler, servant, not sovereign. And so, when the next verdict arrives, an ache, a number, a mood, do not kneel. Listen, acknowledge, withdraw fear, turn within, settle back in the presence. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Not as the world by decree and data, but as grace, by an appearing. Then see how the creature, relieved of a crown it could never bear, becomes companionable. It serves. It signals. It expresses, but it does not define you. It does not command you, and it does not separate you from the one in whom you live and move and have your being. Let it be understood clearly. What I am about to ask of you is not to convince me, not to convince your family, not to prove a point to the doubter across the street. It is to let you prove within your own consciousness this principle we have been speaking, that there is an awareness not manufactured by thought, and that in stillness it reveals itself. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Not argue the truth, know it. So at this moment, let us make a simple inner experiment. If you will do this faithfully, not dramatically, you will discover for yourself that the door is very near and it opens quietly. Step 1, cease the battle. For 1 minute, just one stop, trying to fix, solve, improve, or manage your life. Stop giving advice to God. Notice the compulsion to reach out and manipulate experience, how the mind leans forward with plans, with fears, with self-rescue. Do not condemn that impulse. Simply see it as a habit of a lifetime that cannot usher you into the secret place. Take no thought for your life, said the Master. For this minute, obey. Let what is be. Let the body report what it reports. Let the numbers sit where they sit. Let the phone remain unanswered. Be still and know that I am God. Not be busy and suppose. Be still and know. Step 2. Witness thought. Now that you have ceased the struggle, watch the thoughts come and go. Memories, worries, fragments of a tune, an old conversation, a plan for supper. Resist not evil. Do not push a single thought away. Let the wind move the grasses. Ask yourself quietly, what is it that notices this thought? A thought arises, and immediately it is known. There is a gap, a space, a priorness. The seer is not the seen. If you will be honest, you will recognize that this awareness is already present before the next idea appears, during it, and after it goes. You cannot manufacture this awareness with thinking any more than you can light the sun with a match. The entrance of thy words giveth light. The entrance, not the effort. Rest as the witness for a moment, without trying to be a better witness. Awareness is not an achievement, it is the fact of your being. Step 3. Listening. Having ceased the battle and discovered that you are not the thought stream, turn now with a single willingness. Father, reveal thyself. That is all. No images, no outlining of how the answer should come, no bargaining. Thy will be done. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. Wait not for a voice out of the sky, not for fireworks of emotion, but for the still small voice that is not in the wind, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire. Wait without strain. If a sentence there is, fine. If no words at all appear, and only a deepening hush, finer still. My sheep hear my voice, not because they strain to listen, but because they have entered the pasture of stillness, where the shepherd is already present. Now, what do you look for? Do not look for a sign to show your neighbor. Look for nothing. Consent to the presence. If you have done this even poorly, you may already sense a softening in the chest, a quiet authority in the room, the faintest flavor of my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Peace first, not a plan, not a promise, not a manufactured optimism peace. And from peace, in its time, there appears guidance. Perhaps the thought to rest, perhaps to make a call, perhaps to take a walk, perhaps to consult. But notice, it comes without whip, without fear, bearing the fragrance of grace. Do you not see? This is the doorway. The stillness did not create awareness. It revealed it. The witness did not conquer thoughts. It outlived them. The prayer did not enlist a power to overcome another power. It yielded to the one presence in whom there are not two powers. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Return to this little experiment time again and time again. Not to get something, but to know someone, the source, that speaks for itself when the mind yields. Peace, be still. And in that stillness, know. Let it be understood clearly. The first evidence is peace, not fireworks, not a shiver up the spine, not a trumpet blast to impress the neighbors. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Peace is not excitement. Peace is the cessation of inner warfare. It is that holy hush in which the will stops grasping and the mind stops arguing, and something greater than your private agenda becomes the atmosphere of your being. Do you not see, when the wind of panic dies down, The lake reveals the sky it was reflecting all along. Peace first. Because in spiritual life, there are not two powers to be refereed. There is one presence realized, and that realization quiets the arena. From that peace, guidance appears quietly, naturally, without whip. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Do not picture a marching order from a general. Picture a shepherd's nudge. A word you were about to speak is withheld, and the storm that would have followed never forms. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. Another time, a word you were avoiding is given you with love, and the knot in a relationship begins to loosen. You find yourself dialing a certain number, not to force an outcome, but because the grace in you inclines you to it. Or you leave the letter unwritten because the inner quiet says, not today. At work, instead of constructing a tower of plans, a simple next step stands quietly before you send this note. Revise that line. Meet this person at noon. And the fragrance of it is always the same. No inner push. No fear of loss if you do not grab it. No wrestling with imaginary rivals. I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye. Only then, as night follows evening, does supply present itself as added, not captured. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Not earned by spiritual cleverness, added by grace. The receiver does not use God to get outcomes. God is not a power to be used by man. We do not take a principle as a lever to pry open the universe. We yield to God's government and watch harmony unfold as the natural consequence of being rightly related. Sometimes supply is new income. Sometimes it is an expense that dissolves, a desire that loses its tyranny, a contentment that renders yesterday's lack irrelevant. Sometimes it is the right client who calls without your chase. Sometimes it is clarity to leave a dead arrangement and discover that the manna arrives in a form you had misjudged because you were measuring by the creature's scale. And mark this well. Emotion may surge and ebb throughout, but peace remains like the sea beneath the waves. You may feel tears. Let them come. You may feel a quickening of joy. Be grateful. But the test is not, did I feel thrilled? The test is, has the inward battle ceased? If it has, you are already in the pasture where guidance grazes and supply will not be far. Because you have ceased to enthrone two powers, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Translate this now into the small obediences of a day. In the home, peace first pause before the reply, and in that pause, listen. Then guidance speak, or be silent as love bids, not as fear commands. Then supply the harmony of the household reveals itself without ultimatums. In your labor, peace first, cease the frantic climb. Then guidance, the next faithful step arises, and you take it without strain. Then supply doors open or close, and either way you recognize order. Even in the body, peace first, withdraw the crown from the report. Then guidance, rest, or walk, or call as you are led. Then supply the right help, the right timing, the right adjustment, arriving not by panic's lash, but by quiet decree. Relax. Rest in the assurance that the order of spirit is unfailing. Peace, then guidance, then supply. Do not invert it. Do not demand supply to prove peace. Do not invent guidance to manufacture peace. Consent to the presence. Let grace be government. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me. Lie down first. Be led next. Find that you do not want last. This is the receiver's evidence, the fruit of discernment, a life unforced, a path illumined, one step at a time, and the quiet discovery that all that is needful is added as you abide in the one who needs no help to be God. Let it be understood clearly, and do not forget it. You cannot prove this to anyone. To set yourself the task of convincing your relatives, your colleagues, or the skeptic next door is a hopeless task, and worse than hopeless, it is a violation of freedom. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. Do you not see? Ears to hear are not strapped on by argument. They are opened by grace. No man can come to me, except the Father which hath sent me draw him. If the Father does not draw, your persuasion becomes pressure. And pressure, even dressed in holy language, is still pressure. And it hardens the very mind you would hope to soften. There is a law here, and it must be honored for your sake and for theirs. A spiritual demonstration is only visible to those of spiritual apprehension. The natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. If a person insists that reality be packaged solely in the measurements of the skull and the reports of the senses, do not condemn them. Simply recognize that their instrument is tuned to a different band. To argue at that level is to move your attention from the secret place into the arena of opinions, where heat generates more heat, not light. The kingdom of God cometh not with observation. Neither shall they say, Lo here, or Lo there, for, behold, the kingdom of God is within you. If it is within you, you will not drag it into the street to prove its existence with circus tricks. I speak this not as a theory, but as a man who has tried and failed in this very era. There was a season when, elated by the hush and the supply that followed it, I thought, if only my friend could see one fine demonstration, they would surely understand. So I set myself to work. I prayed with an eye on their reaction. I framed my stories to persuade. I offered counsel unasked, and the result? They cooled. Their shoulders stiffened. I had trespassed, not in malice, but in subtle spiritual vanity, still trying to use God as a power to win a convert. The moment I saw it and withdrew, the air changed. Months later, without any sermon from me, they came quietly. What is this peace you carry? Do you notice the difference? It was not my argument. It was their ripeness. By their fruits ye shall know them. Not by their performances, by their fruits. Peace, gentleness, a freedom from compulsion. So what is the right posture? Live it. Embody peace. Let the radiance of non-struggle be its own witness. If they ask, answer simply. If they hunger, feed them modestly. A page, a tape, a book, a quiet pointer. You may offer them, but you should not go further than that. Grant them complete freedom to be exactly where they are, without interference from you. Judge not. Do not make your hallway a pulpit or your dinner table a debate hall. Enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. The secret place is not a showroom. It is the Holy of Holies where you and the Father are one. To drag it out for display is to lose it. And let us be kind to the skeptic. Their demand for public proof. Show it to me on the scales, under the light, with a signature at the bottom, is not wickedness. It is reliance on the creature's tools. Thomas stood there once. Except I shall see, I will not believe. The master met him, yes, and then said a better word for us all. Blessed are they that have not seen, and yet have believed. The door opens inwardly, not outwardly. Sight follows revelation. It does not produce it. Therefore, we do not contest with their position. We withdraw from a contest that does not exist in spirit. There are not two powers, belief and unbelief wrestling. There is one grace, revealing itself to whom it will, when it will. Relax. Rest in the assurance that love respects freedom. You are not appointed to be the spiritual police of your household. You are not responsible to decorate God so that another will approve of him. Your responsibility is singular. Abide. Abide until peace is your atmosphere. Abide until guidance is your gate. Abide until supply appears as added harmony. Then, if another is ready, they will feel the climate of your life and ask for a window to be opened. If not, you have already fulfilled the law of love by refusing to coerce, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Keep your altar secret, keep your door open to the one who knocks, and keep your hands off another's freedom. In this, you honor God, you honor your brother, and you remain in the only place where this truth can ever be proved within. Let it be understood clearly. There is no resurrection without a crucifixion. And too many of us are trying to attain the light without the surrender that precedes it. The crucifixion in our day is not a wooden cross on a hill. It is the collapse of confidence and personal control. It is the moment when the brain's verdict delivered with charts, headlines, symptoms, bank balances, and a running commentary loses its throne. And we do not volunteer for this. We are brought to it. The plans do not work. The affirmations do not perform as magic spells. The analysis doubles back on itself, and the constant inner sportscaster tires us to the bone. Then, at last, humility appears. Not my will, but thine be done. Do you not see? That is the door. I speak this not as a lecturer, but as one who has been pinned beneath the wreckage of his own cleverness. There was a season when the figures on my desk and the figures in my head announced the final judgment. No way through. I sharpened the pencil. I redoubled the plans. I tried to enlist God as a senior partner in my enterprise of control. And the more I tried, the tighter the knot grew. One evening, worn out, I put down the pencil, folded the papers, and said only, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit, not my budget, not my bargaining, my spirit. In that surrender, not a power came to conquer another power, but a presence revealed that there are not two powers. Peace entered, guidance followed, and supply added in forms I could not have engineered. The crucifixion of personal control became the midwife of government by grace. Now hear me. The brain is not being punished. It is being relieved. Its office is to report, not to rule. When you crucify personal control, you are not throwing away intelligence. You are dethroning it. I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. The not I is not annihilation of you. It is the end of you as the governor. The life that remains is not passive drift. It is responsive listening. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. The modern crucifixion looks like this. You begin to lose taste for constant commentary. You find the thrill of self-improvement schemes fading. The itch to diagnose and to opine lessens. Opinions still arise. Let them, but you no longer bow to them. The skull ceases to be your god. The sacred place becomes your government. And mark this, we are not overcoming a power named matter, nor a power named brain. God is not a power to be used by man to whip one creature into submission. In spiritual consciousness, there are not two powers. We overcome the belief that there is something to be overcome. We cease from the idolatry that grants authority to form and rest in the presence that is the only law. Resist not evil. Do you not see? Resistance assumes a second power. Non-resistance, as the Master taught, is not acquiescence to evil. It is the revelation that evil has no law. Here, the brain's verdict loses its scepter because we are no longer living in its jurisdiction. How shall you measure progress then? Not by the scarcity of problems. That is a false measuring rod. Problems will still knock. The phone will still ring with news. The body will still send its reports. The marketplace will still throw up an unexpected turn. Spiritual maturity does not sterilize life. It sanctifies it. The inner sign is this. The distance between the shock and your return to the secret place shortens. Fear may flare, let it report, but you withdraw the crown from it more quickly. You close the door within a minute, not a month. You say, Father, before the mind says, fix. Your nights of wrestling condense into moments of listening. Be still and know that I am God. And the knowing comes sooner because you have ceased to worship the delay. Relax. Rest in the assurance that your crucifixion is not the end of you. It is the end of you as manager. The resurrection is the discovery that life lives you. Then the brain gladly returns to its craft, reporting what the heart has already received. The hands go to work at the task guidance has given. The tongue speaks or is silent as love directs. And the atmosphere of your days bears witness, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. So, when the next verdict arrives with the tone of doom, smile softly, withdraw, and say within, into thy hand. This is the sign and the seal that personal control is on the cross, and the government is upon his shoulder, and his name is peace. Let it be understood clearly. Living as a receiver is not a single hour's victory. It is a life of returning time again and time again and time again. Pray without ceasing is not chatter to a distant deity. It is the posture of inward listening repeated in the marketplace, in the kitchen, on the sidewalk, at the desk. Do you not see? The world will remain noisy. You will not silence the traffic of appearances. You will relocate your authority. You will train yourself, not by whip, but by willingness to pause and acknowledge the source before you answer the creature. Here is our daily method. Before you look at your messages in the morning, pause. Not for a mystical marathon, 10 seconds will do. A holy hush. Father, thy presence is my sufficiency. Then open the mail. Before you place food in your mouth, close the door within for a moment and remember the order. Peace first. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Eat then as one sustained from within. Before you enter a meeting or raise your hand to knock on a door, Pause at the threshold. Literally put your hand on the handle and say within, not by might, nor by power, but by thy spirit. Go in then as a receiver, not a performer. When the body reports an ache, a flutter, a weariness, pause. Acknowledge, this is a report, not a law. Return to the secret place. Be still and know. Let guidance arise, rest or work, stretch or call, do or be still, but always after the hush. When shocking news arrives, an email that stings, a headline that trumpets fear, do not be rushed into worshiping the creature. Close the door within you. Enter into thy closet, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. The reward is first peace, then guidance. Perhaps the guidance is to say nothing. Perhaps it is to answer with one sentence. Perhaps it is to unsubscribe. You will know because the direction carries no lash. Now, set your expectations correctly. The mind will argue. It will say, this is a waste of time. Action now. Prove it. Give me a sign. Let it speak. Resist not evil. Do not wrestle with the argument. Let it run down like a child who cries itself to sleep when no audience is provided. Resume listening. Return time again and time again until the habit of pause forms in you without effort. Do not demand proof at every turn. The sign you are looking for is not lightning. It is the shortening of the distance between disturbance and return. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Reinforce this life with study and immersion. Go through these principles time again and time again until what you know up in the head becomes a knowing in the heart. Read a page and then put the book down and listen. Take a tape, a lesson, a paragraph. Live with it a week. Do you not see? Truth does not come out of the book. It rises from the deep withinness when the book has pointed you there. Make this your modest discipline. Morning, a few minutes of stillness before the world's first report. Midday, a return. Evening, a return again without tallying your virtue. Relax. Rest in the assurance that repetition is not failure. It is faithfulness. Use practical triggers to bless your day. Let the buzz of the phone be your bell to turn within. Let a red light on the road be your cue to say, Father. Let the doorknob, the kettle's whistle, the calendar alarm, the cough in the room, let each become a friendly usher into the secret place. In all thy ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. All thy ways, not only the so-called sacred ones. And I would add, for those of us gathered in this work, help one another by creating an atmosphere of listening. If we are to meet, be in your seats a little early and meditate. It takes all of us uniting in God consciousness to thin the noise of the world and make a sanctuary into which the tired and the troubled can slip and be quieted. Do not repress the stray cough or the creak of the chair. Let them come. We are not forcing silence from the outside. We are consenting to silence from within. This is how the receiver life is built, by returning and returning until inward listening becomes the stable center of daily living. Not by might, not by power, by his spirit. Time again and time again and time again, until one day, without fanfare, you discover that the world is still noisy, but you are not. And that is the proof you sought without seeking. Peace first, guidance next, supply added, and under it all, the gentle, steady government of the one who needs no help to be God. At this moment, let us all meditate, not to get something, not to induce a sign, but to rest in what is. Let it be understood clearly. Truth does not appear because we force it. Truth is realized when we yield. Be still and know that I am God. Not be busy and suppose be still and know. Let the body be at ease. Loosen the jaw. Let the shoulders drop as if a gentle hand has settled them. Allow the breath to arrive and to leave without management. We are not improving the body. We are relieving it of our constant command. If a sensation appears, an ache, a flutter, a stiffness, do not fear it. Do you not see? It is a report, not a decree. The brain will speak about it. Let it speak. The mind will offer opinions. Let them pass. Resist not evil. We are not wrestling with shadows. We are consenting to light. Now, watch the thoughts like leaves on a stream. A memory floats by, let it go. A plan proposes itself, let it go. An argument arrives late and loud, let it go. Ask quietly within, what is it that notices this thought? Do not answer with words. Simply notice that the witness is present before, during, and after any thought. Awareness is not an achievement. It is the fact of being. There is no need to manufacture it. No need to tense up to hold it. Rest. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Turn now with a single consent. Father, reveal thyself. That is all. No bargaining, no outlining, not my will, but thine be done. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Wait without a stopwatch. If the brain mutters, nothing is happening, smile inwardly and let the sentence fade. It is only a reporter filling the air. We are listening for the still small voice that is not in the wind, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire. We are consenting to the presence that requires no advertisement. If you feel a hush settling, do not pounce upon it. If you feel nothing at all, do not hunt for it. Peace is not an emotion to be captured. It is a presence recognized. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let that peace rise of its own accord. Let it bathe the thought stream without your assistance. If a wave of worry lifts itself, here within, peace, be still, and do nothing more. The storm subsides because there are not two powers. The creature has no scepter here. The Creator alone is law. Rest deeper yet. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Let that be so now. Not by proof, not by sight, but by trust. If a next step is needed, it will be added to this. Quiet as a gentle nudge, not a whip call, or wait. Rise or remain. Speak or be silent. You will know because there will be no fear attached to it. If nothing at all appears, remain in the pasture. Peace first is already instruction. It is already supplied to the soul. I will guide thee with mine eye, not with a shout, with an eye. So close must thy gaze be to mine. Hear this within you. My grace is sufficient for thee. My grace is thy sufficiency in all things. Not your cleverness, not your vigilance, my grace. Let that sentence be the seal upon your heart. Let it remove the crown from every report that pretends to be a law. Brain, body, and thought may continue their honest work of reporting, but decree belongs to the One. Rest back into that government now. We will sit a few breaths more in this consent. No reaching, no proving, simply being where God already is. When you rise, do not break this silence. Carry it. Let the first words you speak come from it. Let the first step you take be led by it. And if you find yourself again in the noise, Do not scold yourself. Return time again and time again and time again. For now, within, let the source speak for itself. Peace, be still.